Well, guys, this is kind of you could consider it a bit of a continuation of the last segment, in that we're going to be talking about the immigration issue and Trump's handling of it, but we're going to talk more specifically about ICE, the organization whose job it is to violently arrest and deport and detain, and then deport people suspected of illegal immigration. And ICE has been massively bolstered under Trump. ICE is Trump's favorite part of government, I would hazard to say. He really loves them. And he's expanded their powers substantially to the point now where, correct me if I'm wrong, ICE can just, go door to door, kicking doors in and, ripping houses apart looking for illegal immigrants, right? Any of us in chat right now could wake up tomorrow morning to our doors getting kicked in by ICE dudes with rifles ripping our houses apart looking for illegal immigrants under the floorboards or whatever, right? I'm pretty sure they just can do that now. And that is a thing that could happen to any of us at any time if you live in the US. I'm pretty certain. There's been a lot of talk about this. I haven't seen ICE doing it, but this story seems to touch on that idea of ICE's expanded power, what they can do, and the impact it's having on non-immigrant Americans. Most of you watching are probably not immigrants, so you're probably not shaking in your boots over this, but neither are the people getting wrongfully deported despite being citizens, or the people having their houses raided by ICE despite not having any immigrants on the premises, legal or illegal. So you, as a white person living in a house that you grew up in and were born in America, all your shit's in order, you could have your door kicked in one day by ICE agents suspecting an illegal immigrant on premises. That could happen. And it's a scary thing, which is why the right's most scorned, Rachel Maddow, did a segment talking about this American mother and daughters are terrorized by ICE in a botched immigrant search. So let's hear about how, correct me if I'm wrong, our Fifth Amendment rights are being trampled all over. Let's find out.
I want to show you something that I think is very important from a local news station. And this is not about someone fighting back against Trump. It is actually not about politics at all. It is about the character of what Trump has done to the government and what Trump is doing to the country. It's about what he has agents of the federal government doing in the United States, the real life consequences of this shambolic mess that he has made of the U.S. government in just this short amount of time that he has been back in office. So this is from K4, KFOR, which is the NBC affiliate in Oklahoma City. They aired this report last night in their 10 p.m. local news. They told us today that they had such an overwhelming response from their viewers reacting.
Oh, how did I mix up fourth and fifth? Because you say I plead the fifth when you don't want to incriminate yourself in court. Okay, yeah, all right. My bad. I'm stupid for mixing those up.
In shock to this story. That they continue to work the story today. They featured it again tonight with updated reporting on their primetime broadcast at dinner time. So I'm going to show it to you. I mean, I know everybody in the national media is doing their 100 days of Trump reviews or whatever right now. Honestly, here's mine. For me, I think this local news report, this is kind of all you need to know about this president and his character and the character of his leadership and the government that he runs and what he is doing to this country. Just watch this.
Oh, I will.
New at 10, a family traumatized after armed federal agents busted into their home as they were sleeping and took almost everything they own. Problem is, they were not the people agents were supposed to be looking for.
News 4's Spencer Humphrey is here with their frightening ordeal. Spencer, what's going on here?
Yeah, well, get this. That family
You know what's scary? A lot of my neighbors are immigrants, and as scared as I am for them, I'm also scared that if ICE starts kicking down doors in my neighborhood, they're going to come to the wrong house, which is mine. They're going to give me a hard time. I'd rather not, but it seems like in Trump's America, armed federal agents kicking your door down might just be part of living in the country and being American. A majority of voting Americans voted for this, I guess.
Just moved here about 2 weeks ago from out of state, and this is how their life in Oklahoma got started. They say they told federal immigration agents they had the wrong people, but those agents kept treating them like criminals, even though they're all U.S. citizens.
Fear.
Because I did feel at times that I was going to die.
So much fear.
I kept praying. I said, God, please let me live through this moment.
Humiliation.
I was a zero. I was nothing.
Pure disbelief.
I just couldn't understand how is this happening.
Remember, if you make a false call to the police and have this done to someone who's innocent via what's called swatting, where you make a false call to someone's house about like an active shooter or a dangerous situation they have to send a SWAT team to, it's called swatting, and it is a felony to do that. Like, you will, if caught, go to like super duper federal prison for a long time. And yet ICE can just do this to people in Trump's America with no recourse. Something that, when done not at the orders of the president, is a federal crime because of how dangerous and harmful it is to do to someone. Like, you'll go to federal prison for it and become a felon. But when ICE does it, well, hey, it's all about, you voted for this. This is what the people voted for. We have a mandate from the people to do this.
Happening to us.
All just for wanting a fresh start.
You come to Oklahoma and you get treated like this.
We are right now, Slashy.
This woman, who we're calling Marissa, and her 3 daughters came to Oklahoma from Maryland looking for a slower, more affordable pace of life. They rented this house in a nice, seemingly safe northwest Oklahoma City neighborhood. Her husband planned to join them this past weekend, but any semblance they had of comfort went out the window when 20 men armed to the teeth busted through it Thursday morning.
I don't know who they were. They had guns. It was dark. All the lights were off.
They were federal agents, Marissa says, with the U.S. Marshals, ICE, and the FBI.
And I kept asking them, like, who are you? What are you doing here? What's happening? And they said, we have a warrant for the house.
They ordered Marissa and her daughters outside into the rain before they could even get dressed.
They wanted me.
What's so grim about this, is like you expect when you have the Gestapo kicking down doors and dragging people out of their homes and ripping their houses apart, and then, it comes out later, oh yeah, and these weren't even the right people. If this happened to, like, a white nuclear family under the Biden administration, we would still be hearing about it. They would still not shut up about it if this happened under Biden to a white family, okay? There would be no end to the outrage. The fear in the average American would be so high, they would never stop talking about how this was the most disgraceful thing that the Biden administration had ever done. But because it's the Trump administration, and it did happen to a family who's, I'm going to guess, brown, they don't give a fuck. Rachel Maddow is the one covering it, and I know from reading her comment section that the comments are going to be all conservatives talking about how Rachel Maddow needs to be taken off the air. Like, that's all of the comments on MSNBC and CNN's comment sections, by the way. If it's not like a big story where people on the left are like paying attention and commenting, the comments are all like open messages to Trump to please shut down CNN, MSNBC. They love to say, please remove their broadcasting licenses. That's what MAGA's been calling for, is Trump to remove the broadcasting licenses of these big outlets. Like, they're outright calling for these stations and these figures to be shut down and to have their ability to speak taken away. So yeah, I think that's cool. I think that's just a cool little thing to talk about.
Me to change in front of all of them, in between all of them.
The thing is, the suspect names on that search warrant were not Marissa's or anyone in her family's. They were, however, names listed on mail still arriving at the house. Former residents, perhaps.
We just moved here from Maryland. We're citizens. That's what I kept saying. We're citizens.
She says they didn't care.
That we weren't criminals. That why were they treating us like criminals? We were here by ourselves. That we didn't do anything. anything.
The agents ripped apart every square inch of the house, taking their phones, laptops, documents, and their life savings in cash as evidence.
Like, I have to feed my children. I'm gonna need gas.
They literally robbed them. And knowing the federal government, there's a chance none of that ever comes back. Like, when the federal government takes that kind of stuff, apparently it can be months to years to effectively might as well be never that you get it back. So they've basically just been robbed, and there's nothing they can do about it, all because they weren't illegal immigrants. That's why they're still here and not getting deported. It was a false call. Like, they kicked down these people's doors, ransacked their house. Wrong house. They aren't even illegal immigrants.
Gas money, I need to be able to get around. Like, how do you just leave me like this, like an abandoned dog?
And when they left, they told her something.
I know it was a little rough this morning. It was so denigrating. Like, you do all of this to a family, to women, your fellow citizens, and it was a little rough. You have literally traumatized me and my daughters for life.
This family has virtually nothing.
Prepare for a disgusting amount of our fellow Americans to defend this and then to victim blame the family who weren't even illegal immigrants, who had ICE falsely called on them. Prepare to hear a million reasons for why they're to blame and why this is not a big deal.
And I said, when are we gonna get our stuff back? He was like, it could be days or it can be months.
Well, there you go.
Nothing but questions.
Well, what if I would?
In all seriousness, from stories I've heard, it might as well be never. Like, when they come and they take your shit like that, not like in a situation like this, because shit like this doesn't happen outside of like recently, but like it can take a long time to get your stuff back. Like, we've obviously, all criticisms from of Keffel's notwithstanding, like, she got arrested, or not arrested even, but like swatted, and they like took her computer and like her phone and shit like that, and that was Canada, and they didn't get her shit back to her for months, so long that it was like having to buy new stuff just cause you have to, and so you might as well never get it back. That's how bad it is when this shit gets taken from you. Any Californian that supports this is not a true Californian. They're a traitor who must be rooted out and sent packing from our state. Well, that's the thing, right? People have been saying, like California is holding strong, more or less, but this is Oklahoma, right? A pretty right-wing state, and keep in mind, I believe it's like half of Oklahoma is native land due to something that happened like a few years ago, some weird like mistake they made in some law they passed that made half of Oklahoma like reservation or something like that, but still ICE is apparently targeting like Native American descent people and claiming they're like illegally immigrating, which is like, dude, when you are deporting Native Americans and claiming they're illegal immigrants, the audacity is so Trumpian that it's like, how can anything be more Trump than calling Native Americans illegal immigrants? Like, there might be nothing more Donald Trump than that.
Would have been armed. What if you're breaking in?
The most definitive thing about Donald Trump, in my opinion, is how confidently he says the opposite of the truth. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just that he lies, right? Like, it's not just that he lies. Like, he could lie and say the sky is green instead of blue. Instead, he finds out the exact hex code of the sky, and the real color it is, finds out the exact polar opposite of that hex code, and claims the sky is actually that exact color hex code. He finds the exact opposite of the truth and tells it. Like, if it's a number, he doubles the number or slices it in half, depending on his need. So it's the opposite of the truth in any given claim he can make.
What am I supposed to think? My initial thought is we were being robbed. My daughter's female daughter's being kidnapped.
Nothing but likely lifelong trauma.
We have guns pointed at our faces. Can you just reprogram yourself and see us as humans, as women, a little bit of mercy, and care a little bit about your fellow human mate, about your...
A disgusting amount of Americans will see this video and laugh. Like, there is a sickness in our country that millions upon millions of Americans, upon watching this video, would laugh the hardest they'd laughed all day. There are a lot of Americans who find pain and suffering funny. We have a very cruel culture in America. It's hard to put into words because as an American, it's just normal, but like, our culture is very cutthroat. The average American feels shame and hatred towards homeless people, for instance, because homeless people are seen as failures, as people who, were too lazy or chose a life of like not working hard, right? So, if bad things happen to you, you probably had it coming, right? Like, that's what most people in America think. So, like, victim blaming is the norm because it's like, well, if you were being smart, bad thing wouldn't have happened to you. I'm smart and bad things don't happen to me, or insert bad thing doesn't happen to me. So, like, we have a very weirdly cruel culture in America. And that's why I think, the average American sense of humor is very dark. And so when a lot of Americans see a video like this, they don't feel compassion. They don't care. It's like, how funny would it have been to like record that, to have been there to record it? When they're screaming about how they're citizens, wouldn't it be funny? Like, that's what Asmongold would say. I use him as an example because he's literally talked about how he wants to appear. He wants to like talk to Trump so he can live stream ICE raids. Like, Asmongold has literally said if he gets the chance to talk with Trump, he's going to ask him for permission to live stream ICE raids. Like episodes of Cops. That's the largest, most watched streamer in all of North America, by the way, claiming that. That really does go to show you that a substantial amount of people would not just see this video and not care, they would laugh.
Fellow citizen, like fellow resident, we bleed too. We bleed just like anybody else bleeds. We were scared. You could see in our faces that we were terrified.
Marissa says the agents refused to leave any contact information or business cards. She believes the agents wore logos connected to ICE, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the FBI. Today, the U.S. Marshal Service says their team was not involved. We also reached out to the...
So, according to Metal Jacket, ICE now has the power to write field warrants, basically. That is to say, if they see a house and people's coming in or out of that house that they find suspicious, they can write up a warrant in the field, as in like in the parking lot across the street, get it approved fast, and perform the raid like 5-10 minutes later. Zan, you heard about the historical wrong, quote-unquote, desegregation order in Louisiana? No, I have not heard about that. You'll have to let me know more, Christian Garcia. Post a link in my Discord. If you guys have stuff you want me to watch or cover, the best way is to join my Discord server, go to the Stream Suggestions channel, and post a link to whatever it is you want me to cover. That is what I troll through to find good, interesting topics you guys want me to cover. And if there's something you want to see me cover, put it in there. There's a good chance I cover it if it's something that seems interesting.
The FBI asking about that agency's level of involvement. Last week, they told us they assisted in this case. Late this afternoon, they told us they were not on the scene. They told us to contact Homeland Security, so we did. A spokesperson told us they would look into it and get back with us. So far, we've heard nothing. As for the family's phones, electronics, and cash, they have no idea which agency has their belongings or how to get them back.
I guarantee you they never will.
Local reporting from KFOR, the NBC affiliate in Oklahoma City. I have to tell you a couple things about this. First of all, we've put in our own request for comment to the U.S. Marshal Service, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security. Now, the woman who this happened to, she says that the agents were wearing insignia from the U.S. Marshal Service, ICE, and the FBI. But also, and this is very interesting, the U.S. Marshal Service told KFOR that their agents were not involved. And the U.S. Marshal Service told us the same thing tonight. Their Office of Public Affairs told us that they contacted the U.S. Marshals team in Oklahoma. Quote, they were not involved in this incident. We had no one
just
there.
ICE.
Okay, that leaves the FBI and Homeland Security. Now, the FBI initially told KFOR that they were assisting on this case. They were assisting Homeland Security, so call them. But then today, the FBI changed its mind in terms of its account of what involvement the agency had had, and they said actually...
Keep in mind, the FBI is controlled, the head of the FBI is one of the biggest Trump sycophants you could possibly imagine. Kash Patel literally made a series of pro-Trump children's books. The first one called The Plot Against the King. Hold on. Kash Patel, The Plot Against the King. Do you want to guess what The Plot Against the King is about? This book was made by the current director of the FBI. About how J6 was made up and all of the J6ers need to be pardoned and released, and that it was actually a plot against Trump to get him out of power. And so it's The Plot Against the King, and Trump is the king on the cover. This is a children's book, by the way. This is a book made for conservatives to get their children so they can learn about how the wizard Kash Patel helped stop the plot against King Trump. This is the guy who runs the FBI, the agency lying and flipping up their story about, like, this deportation thing. These are the people in charge of overseeing the deportations. There are no adults in the room. There are no safeguards. There are no guardrails. There is no one with power. The DOJ is now bending the knee to Trump, which is what oversees the FBI. Even the agencies that oversee this agency are controlled by Trump. There are no adults in the room. It's all a bunch of ring-kissing glazers. So yeah, that FBI.
Actually, FBI agents weren't involved at all. Okay, I don't know how to explain that change, but that's the change. Homeland Security, meantime, isn't saying anything at all. Not to KFOR and not so far to us, although we live in hope. And you know, your mileage may vary on how much you care about whether or not these federal government agencies agree to give a statement to the press or a statement to the Rachel Maddow show, right, about the actions of our own government in a case like this. You may or may not care about whether or not they're talking to me, whether they're talking to us. But what if you're Marissa? What if you're the woman this happened to?
I'd never be Marissa, cause I'm smart and I use common sense, and like if ICE came to my door, I would be polite. I would give them my papers, and there would be no issue. It's just they probably argued or something, you know, like that's what Trump supporters will say. They will never accept a hypothetical in which they could be the victim in this situation. Someone clip that? Yes, of course, clip it so people can use it against me. Good. So like they would just never accept the idea they could be a victim of something like this because they believe you have to have. Remember, Americans and especially Trump supporters believe bad things happen to bad people and good things happen to good people, except for when it doesn't, and you know, in which case they'll just ignore that idea. So like Trump being rich and powerful came to him because he deserves it. Elon being rich and powerful came to him because he deserves it. Nancy Pelosi being rich must mean that she's insider trading. I still can't quite find out how they rationalize Trump not being corrupt, but like Nancy Pelosi must be wealthy and want more wealth while being wealthy, despite wealthy people not wanting to get richer in the case of Elon and Trump, because she's insider trading, which is a bad way of getting wealth, except for when Elon does it. Still can't quite figure out how their logic works there. You know, it seems like whenever Trump and Elon do a thing they hate when Democrats do, they're cool with it. Weird how that is, huh?
No word about who these people were, forcing you and your daughters outside into the rain in your underwear at gunpoint. tearing apart every inch of your house, taking your phones and your electronics and cash from your house, just smashing the place up, taking all of your stuff, including your money, and then leaving. And then there's no one to call. No way to get anything back. Not even, as she said, not even a business card. These are U.S. citizens. And this kind of stuff, the Trump administration thinks they will never have to answer for any of this stuff because they think the American public doesn't care about how immigrants are treated or that the American public actually wants cruelty and abuse toward immigrants. And so if it's federal agents who are working on anything related to immigration, well, carte blanche, no one will care what they do. That has been, I think, their working assumption since they have been in power these 100 days. But you know what? For one, the polling and the protests say that the American people don't think that at all. Not at all. But also, what we are learning is that once the government is treating anyone this
like, I may sound a little doomer. I worry that I'm getting into like the doomer zone because I try to be like the not doomer guy, and a lot of people have given me credit for not being doomer. And I'm not doomer. You know, obviously we're not quitters here on the Xander Hall channel. But, like, maybe I am being a bit doomer about how many people are cool with this right now. Like, granted, Trump is seeing record low approval rating, and here I am saying, like, many Americans will laugh and cheer at this. And maybe that's a bit too doomer. I think that most Americans right now who are paying attention and are politically engaged are probably, if they haven't already been shaken off the Trump train, their resolve is getting a little weak. I really do think that this is blowing up on Trump. And sooner than later, the majority of America that votes will not be in favor of this. They will not be happy. I don't think that the amount of Americans in favor of this is growing. That's for sure. And, you know, I got to keep myself from getting too doomer about the fact that, like, Americans were so retarded to vote this way in the first place, and keep myself from, like, you know, getting too lost in the idea that, like, we can't come back from this, right? Because, like, yeah, Americans were real stupid to vote the way they did, but they're not, I don't think they're so stupid they can't learn their lesson and vote better next time. They did it before. I think they can do it again.
This way. Any supposed line there is, any supposed barrier there is that's based on citizenship or immigration status, that gets real blurry real quick. I mean, this woman and her daughters, these are citizens, U.S. citizens in Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I need to read the comments. Let's find out. Are the comments going to make me want a doomer? Or are they going to be something positive? Because usually Rachel Maddow's comments are full of conservatives. Why take their property? What is the reason for that? It makes no sense at all. Even if Marissa and her daughters were not U.S. citizens, they deserve to be treated with professionalism and respect, you know, basic humanity. So if I understand correctly, people can forcefully throw you out of your house, take everything that is worth anything, and then leave. Since ICE apparently is allowed to do this, any criminal now can copy this behavior because, well, nobody is going to admit they did this. Is this what I read, apart from the horror of treating and robbing your citizens like that? How far the U.S. has fallen in 100 days. This isn't just terrifying, it's a gaping hole in public safety and civil rights. If even federal authorities can't or won't confirm whether their agents were involved, what's stopping criminals from donning plain clothes, yelling ICE, and breaking into homes? That way the way things are going. It's not even just that, dude. I'm glad the comments are reasonable, but, like, dude, if I right now heard a series of kicks on my front door, I am less than a foot away from my loaded chambered gun that is ready to go if I hear a series of kicks on my door. Like, there's no thought. Like, the second I hear kicks at my door, I'm going for my gun, and it is very accessible and close. So, like, that's what's going to happen, and I think a lot of Americans are the same way. God forbid it's not a bunch of people coming to break into my home and kill me and take everything I own. That are criminals. God forbid if it's like ICE, you know? Like, God forbid if it's like federal agents no-knock warranting out of nowhere for no reason because they're just going house to house, right? Like, dude, most Americans aren't going to know it's a SWAT team or ICE raiding their house Like they have kids, they're gonna wake up to the sound of breaking down door, and they're gonna go for their gun because they're worried about their safety and their kids' safety and their family's safety, okay? Like, and this isn't just like oh, be careful, Zan, chill. Literally any cop would say the same. Any police officer, especially, would be like, yeah, if I hear kicks at my door in the middle of the night, I'm going for my gun. I don't want I'm not letting my wife and kids find out the hard way whether or not the kicks at the door are from federal agents or a band of ruffians, you know? Like yeah, it's a pretty normal reaction. Any cop would say the same thing. Like, yeah, this shit scares me too, you know? Like, you know, fuck. This is not a safe thing to do in America by any means. It really, really isn't. As an American gun owner, we are trained to stand our ground and protect ourselves and our homes when we get our licensing for firearms. This is not a safe way to do things. If ICE is actually just kicking down doors in the middle of the night of the wrong house, because, like, it's one thing if it's a house full of actual criminals waiting for the potential arrival of police, right? In that case, yeah, obviously there's going to be danger. It's going to be, yeah, it's crazy, right? But, like, if you are a law-abiding citizen and there's kicks at your door, in that moment, you're never going to think it's the cops. Like, if I heard kicks at my door, I would never think it's cops or federal agents because they have no reason to be here. Like, there's no reason for cops to be at my door or federal agents to be kicking my door. That it would have to be criminals. It would have to be some ruffians or something. There's no reason for it to be anything but that. Because I didn't do anything illegal. I'm not breaking the law. They have no reason to suspect I broke the law. So I would assume it's lawbreakers coming to get me. And I think most law-abiding Americans would think the exact same thing. And so that's when it's most dangerous, is when it is innocent people having their door kicked down by ICE, because no one's going to assume ICE is at their house. No one's going to assume it's federal agents because they're not doing anything wrong. And they know they're not doing anything wrong. Is there a legal way to do this? The only legal way to deal with this is to comply completely. It's to comply. The best case scenario, frankly, is that they come while you're sleeping and you wake up to them in your room, so you have no time to react thinking it's like home intruders to like go for a weapon or to defend yourself, because if you make a motion to do that, you might get shot and killed. And then like, yeah, it's like all you can really do is hope that you're not awake when the kicks at your door happen, so you don't react how anyone would. Like, you have to hope you're asleep, and then it comes as a surprise, and that you realize instantly what's happening, comply completely, and hope they don't just decide to take anything anyway, because they will. Like, even if you comply completely, they might just destroy your life, apparently, based on what we've seen. So, new fear unlocked. New fear unlocked. Anyway, if you watch this far into the video, I want you to let me know that you saw all the way to the end by commenting down below, "Don't tase me, bro." Classic internet meme. Kind of relates to the ICE thing, I guess. So how about you comment down below, "Don't tase me, bro," if you watched all the way to the end. It'll let me know you saw this far, and every comment boosts the channel in the algorithm for all my videos and streams, and especially if you also like the video and like my streams. Every thumbs up goes a long way to boost my channel in the algorithm, so thank you to everybody who does that. It really does mean the world. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future on other platforms and everything, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell icon, and follow my social medias linked down below, including joining my Discord, which is the main hub of my community and fan base. I host gaming events, call-in streams, and watch parties there every week on Fridays, and announce all my new uploads and streams, so you won't miss a damn thing if you join my Discord. And on top of that, sorry. My throat's really dry because I ran out of water. If you want to support me directly, financially, help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, StreamElements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a good one.